What is your position on cap and trade? And we'll start with Rick Torres.
Cap and trade is just like healthcare, in my estimation, another power grab on this country. It has very little to do with the environment and has everything to do with control. I believe that we should not litter. I believe that we shouldn't pollute unnecessarily. But I don't believe that government needs to be our big brother in determining everything that we do in society, including the automobiles that we drive, the homes, how we heat our homes. It's a devastating bill that will go into your home and devalue your own homes depending on how old it is. Older homes that don't have the proper insulation are going to be devalued much more than newer homes. It's a horrific idea, and it must be opposed.
Thank you. Rob Merkel.
A lot of you have probably heard me talk about cap and trade. I'm personally opposed to it, and I'll tell you why. One, it's not about the environment. This is a failed model that they put into Europe after the Kyoto Protocol was signed. And the theory is that only so much carbon dioxide is going to get produced in the atmosphere. So, well, if company A is going to reduce their carbon dioxide, they can then sell that credit to company B who's going to produce more. And they figured they'd cap it. Well, what they did in Europe, and this is the same thing that's going to happen here, utility costs went up by about 40 to 50% for not only average consumers, but for businesses. And for manufacturing, that's a huge component of what they do. So manufacturing jobs could no longer compete in the European Union. They left. Where'd they go? Anybody? China, India, Brazil, places that don't have environmental restrictions on their manufacturing. So not only did they not have to abide by the standards that were already in place in Europe, they could even get rid of those. And they could hire workers that didn't have to pay anything. So they were now unfairly competing against their former compatriots. Third thing that happened, utility companies made billions by creating and trading carbon credits. I know people in this market. They thought it was a hoot, but it's not helping the environment at all. Last thing that happened, oddly enough, carbon emissions actually increased on a global scale. Now, funny, didn't work. If you're going to see a tax of 30 to 40% on everything that you do, every time you turn on a light, every time you buy something, put something in the refrigerator, it's going to get more expensive. All to try to incentivize you to go green. The technology is not there to keep up with the demand. We need to go nuclear, we need to go now. We need to exploit our own natural energy reserves, and we need to export them. The data is inconclusive that there is anthropogenic global warming. And we've seen numerous cases from the IPCC, the UN, that data has been cooked to put forth an idea that we're causing global warming. Small problem. Global warming hasn't happened in the last 10 years. We're actually cooling.
Right.
Thank you.
Next will be Will Gregory.
Since I started going around giving talks on my listening tour beginning back in May, there have been a set of core principles that I've been speaking to promote. One of my core principles is environmental stewardship. I'm an Eagle Scout, as I mentioned. I believe in leaving a site better than it was found. And to that effect, I think that there's no better example of that than our planet. And we need to make sure that we have a strong environment that we can pass down to future generations. But this bill has nothing to do with environmental quality. Nothing. This is about redistributing wealth. And for that reason alone, I need to know nothing more as soon as I see them try to take cash from one set of people and try to combat some of the industries that make our country great, that are trying to develop solutions to a lot of the challenges that they're most concerned about. That's when I draw the line. No way. So I fully oppose this bill, and I think that we need to start really thoroughly examining the ways that we can enhance our ecological quality. And let's get our businesses, let's get our entrepreneurs involved in the game. Let's say, hey, how can we make sure that we have a better planet 20, 30, 50, 60 years from now?
Thank you. Next will be Rob Russo.
As a Catholic, I liken cap and trade to penance. You say you're sorry, you pay the fine, but a lot of people don't change the behavior. Believe it or not, the government is not going to solve our environmental issues. They can't force us to drive less. They can't force us to use less energy. But business can build us more efficient cars. Business can create new technology that lowers our power bill. Business can help us into a world where we don't pollute our oceans and our rivers, that our inner cities are cleaner and our children don't have asthma. So instead of looking to the government for punitive ways that probably aren't going to work, why don't we look at ways that we can encourage business to lead us into the green economy? Because whatever you believe, the bottom line is that's the way the market's going. It's about more fuel-efficient cars. It's about wind turbines. And frankly, I want America, and especially I want Connecticut, to lead in that department. Mike Garrett, sitting right over there, works at a company that does a lot with turbine engines and propellers. So, Sikorsky. So why aren't we in Connecticut trying to be on the head of this industry? Let's not look at how we can solve our green issues punitively, but how we can do it from an economic angle by encouraging business.
Thank you. Next question. You want to get in?
Not that I'm going to start to say I support it or anything dramatic like that, but I just wanted to add in the most insidious aspect of this, that I think everyone's given a very accurate description, is that this is a tax increase in disguise. Because what they do is they don't give out these rights to pollute. They sell them to companies. So this, as Rick said, it's control. As both of the Robs said, this is something that's not going to be effective at controlling pollution. But it's also an attempt for them to raise more revenue to spend on all the wasteful programs that they want to continue. Instead, what we need to do is we need to tie our environmental plan to our energy plan. Because right now, obviously, one of the major causes of environmental destruction is the use of fossil fuels. And at the same time, our energy crisis is because we are so dependent on foreign oil. And what the government needs to do to solve both of these at once is to basically, in a very neutral way, open the door to technological research and finding sources of energy wherever they may be. We don't need government picking winners, right? The Democrats like to pick winners. They like solar power, so we'll give solar power a tax credit. But we don't like natural gas. We're not going to do anything for natural gas. Wrong way to go. We actually have to open up tax credits for all the companies that are trying to research green technology. Because not only is that the ultimate solution to helping the environment, but it's the ultimate solution to get us off Saudi Arabian oil and Venezuelan oil, which is a huge national security risk for us in the long term.